Speaking of speed, we'll get into the Veronica thing. That's just kick in the teeth. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of the stuff with the preseason was pretty solid. Happy to see the club get into these matches, play these club, play. Obviously, as Bella mentioned, there was the behind closed doors one against Spokane, but it was behind closed doors. So tough to kind of get too much from that outside of, whatever the club put out itself. Um, but the Bay FC one was tough because Veronica, I believe it was the second half of the match, came out and kind of feared the worst, and the club confirmed the worst. Back on the 26th, it was announced that Veronica had torn her Achilles tendon and will be placed on season-ending injury list. Yeah, that's tough. And it's tough, not only if you're going to look at purely at the sport to lose someone who, when Bella was talking about, it's funny because I can take what like Bella's explanation, and I've got little bullet points in all of them. Um, Talking about like when you were talking about how defenders would play a certain role, you could tell that they might be playing that. Like I remember seeing in training, they'd put Veronica out wide defensively, and I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then of course we saw that with Sophia, Sophia's loan. Um, like her versatility is big. Her Veronica's just always been someone, at least in my opinion, who just does the work. She doesn't really care what they do with her, starting off the bench, super sub, doesn't play any minutes, whatever the hell it is. Veronica will do it. Veronica's been someone that over the years, the last few years covering this club, like that all like hammers the culture home. When I think of the culture of this club, obviously I think of the two OGs that remain in Jess and Lou, right? I think of Lou maybe a little bit more just because I talk to her more. But like the next one to me outside of that is Veronica because she talked about how this club effectively saved her career, right? In a lot of different ways. And in one press conference, I think it was last year, she nearly broke down in tears because of that. I think if you'll remember that, Bella, like
Yeah.
Veronica's huge to this, in my opinion. She's a big part of this. And then as we talked about at the event that we'll mention later, um, the whole playoff run to get to the title match a few years ago doesn't happen without Veronica Latsko and a little bit of magic. But, a lot of that is Veronica Latsko. So, yeah, this is tough for a myriad of different reasons. Um, in the official release, Laura mentioned being gutted for her, understandably so. You know, um, it's just tough. I mean, joining the club in 22 and then obviously making this much to the two, the team and its fan base is pretty big. Um, yeah, it's really tough. Someone who registered what 15 goals and 7 assists um through her 108 regular season matches with the club. So, um it just seems like they're doing whatever they can to take care of her now. This is going to be a long recovery, so that's tough. Um, but on the business side of things, you kind of wonder, okay, who's going to fill that role? What do they do now? You know, um, since we had Bella talk first last time, and because it was just Bella, we'll go to Becca and then Bella. I want to hear from you, just your thoughts on the injury and what the club might figure out if it's just, hey, we're gonna go and sign one of our trialists or what? Because they've got some roster spaces if I'm correct, but also you have to consider later on you've got Lily coming back, you've got Sophia coming back, and Ryan Brown has to come back from season-ending injury as well. So it's like that's later on to think about, but I don't know. Becca, your thoughts on Latsko, and then Bella will get you too.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, obviously very tough to lose somebody like that. I think I'm sure we all remember in 2023 those two goals. That's immediately what I think of when I think of her. So, um, that's it's definitely tough, and I'm hoping that like with the depth that they have on the team that they'll be able to fill that hole. But it is a big hole to fill. And I think I'm not entirely sure what they're thinking to do. My original thought was like um not like one single person, but like maybe leaning on a few different people to be able to fill that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they're gonna do. But yeah, definitely sad for her. And I saw her. If you guys saw her Instagram post, I think it was a couple of days ago. She was just talking about the injury, and it seemed like she had a good outlook on things, which was nice. And obviously very hard to do in that situation when that happens to you. But yeah, hoping hoping for the best for the coming season for her.
Yeah, I mean the good news for the Rain is that just because she's injured doesn't mean she's not around. She is a very motivating and encouraging personality. So I think, if you think about back to like major throwback when Tobin Heath was with the club and she played only one game, she was injured most of the time, but Laura would talk about sort of the knowledge that she brought. So even if she was just at training, it was valuable to have her. So even if Veronica is just around there for maybe younger players to lean on, she's still a very valuable part of the club. In terms of on the field, from a very cynical business perspective, it's good that the injury happened in preseason and not later. They have some time to adjust. They have some time to figure out what options they have. It's also it's not the smallest forward pool that they've had. It's not the deepest forward pool that they have, but it's not had the forward pool been even smaller, it would have been an even more massive hit. And in no way is that disrespecting or denigrating what Veronica brings, because I do think she's a brilliant player. And I will be very sad to not see her. But now that you know, she's not going to be there, you have to start thinking about the next steps. You have to basically be like, well, she's not going to play. There's nothing we can do about it. We have to move on from that for this year. And the good thing is that they have a lot of options. I think I'm excited to see Emery take a jump in her second year. We talked to her at the event,
Mhm.
and she seemed more sure of herself than she had in the past.
I'd
She
agree with
seemed
that.
very confident and excited to get into her second year. She talked about being kind of surprised that there was a jump between her first and second year. Um, which, maybe that's just sort of youthful naivete, but I think they've got more options now. And the good thing is they have a lot of forwards who are very versatile.
Hmm.
Lynn Williams, you can play as a nine, you can play her as a wing. Jordan Heidema, you can play her as a nine. You could play her more as a withdrawn nine. I think it's very possible we'll see some sort of situation where Jordan Heidema is a double nine with someone and sort of drops back as a false nine to help set play. Maddie Darlene can also, I imagine, play as a nine or on the wing. Norelia Mondesir, another option. So I think Laura Harvey has a good amount of players and versatile players to find a solution.
Mm.
Because certainly part of the problem we'd seen in previous years is the team got very reliant on crosses.
Oh yeah.
And once teams figured that out, it was pretty easy to stop them. Um, you know, as much as Megan Rapinoe is a brilliant player, when the team was very reliant on her and Sofia Huerta just sending in crosses, it's eventually easy to stop because that's the main thing they're going to.
And hoping that Bethany Balcer would connect for headers at that point.
Right. So I think there's a lot of good options this year to play around with different formations and confuse defenses a little more and just be a little bit more unpredictable than they've been in the past. I think Laura talked about that at preseason.
Yep.
Um,
I was like, wow, okay, Laura quote.
I mean, they when the crossing was like the thing they did, the team was very aware of it.
Yeah.
There was no there was no question about it. Um, but you have so many midfielders who are almost like attackers, particularly G and Jess, and even a bit of Sam Meza. You have and Maddie Mercado as well, actually. You
Hmm.
have a lot of those players who want to get forward, and so you have a lot of options for interchanging those attacking midfielders and forwards, or playing them in different positions. I mean, Jess and G, we know we're going to roam all over the freaking place. That's what they do. That's what Laura lets them do, and I have no issue with it. Let them go wherever they want. Um, so, absolutely gutted for Veronica. She is a wonderful human. She will be missed on the field. She will be incredibly valuable off the field.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of straight up looking at the roster, the situation is not as dire as it could have been had this injury happened a different year.
Yeah.
And I think that's just really the only positive of this. There's no positives to injuries, but it could have hurt the team more than I think it will this time around. But hopefully we'll see her back next year, able to play and contribute on the field, because she is just a very wonderful human who is a joy to watch play because she truly will never give up on any ball ever.
Sorry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, I haven't touched these because they look too cool, and I don't really drink anyway. Where are we gonna put you? We're gonna put you right there. Um, yeah, I mean, it's tough. Just the human being side of things, like being at the stuff that she's done with Agape Adoptions, right? Like at the Rough and Tumble event where that came from. So, you know, it's really tough in that regard. But if you need someone to work really hard to get back from something, Veronica Latsko is that person. So, yeah, no, I mean it's interesting, and I was thinking about this, Bella, when we were at that event at KXP, because again, like I told Scott Parkinson, I just want to get going. I'm tired of waiting. I need rain season to start, like especially since our new graphics are ready. I'm ready to use those. I hated last year and not having ones that looked good.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch all the away games for Seattle Reign FC this year?
Away games? Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See y'all here.